Oh, there's gonna be some murder.
We sift through the case of the Lady of the Dunes, a murder mystery from Cape Cod with theories that stretch from the Boston Mafia to Hollywood. Bella in the Wych Elm. Thomas Willits discovered the human skull in the stump of an old wych elm tree. God, that's good
so
stuff.
So much flavor.
Let's get into this. This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we sift through the case of the Lady of the Dunes, a murder mystery from Cape Cod with theories that stretch from the Boston Mafia to Hollywood. Jesus Christ.
What?
It's just the turtleneck, the jacket. You just went in for a slow sip for your coffee. It was insufferable.
I'm intrigued. I've never been to Cape Cod. I don't know much about it other than, what is it, like some Gatsby bullshit going on?
It's like a party town. People go there to bang it out. You could probably catch cod there.
Yeah.
And hell, I might bring a cape.
But here's the thing. You put a bunch of rich people together, oh, there's gonna be some murder. All rich people are murderers.
What's fancy coming from you and your silk turtleneck here?
$11 on Amazon.com. Anyway, yes, safe to say all rich people are murderers.
I don't think that's what this case is about, nor do I think that's a factual statement.
Agree to disagree.
Okay, yep, drink your coffee. Drink it, go ahead. Oh, you son of a, all right, Leo, let's just get into this. On July 26th, 1974, 12-year-old Leslie Metcalf was returning from the beach in Provincetown, Massachusetts with her family in the late afternoon. A local dog had followed them, and when it took off barking, Leslie decided to run ahead of her parents and follow. First off, you got any guesses what that dog was barking at?
I don't know. I don't like dogs. I was running for exercise, and a rotten Dalmatian jumped right up against a fence and started growling for no reason, just because I was passing. I'm a nice man.
Well, they do hate squirrels. Do you think he thought there was a little bushy squirrel tail on your face?
No, it was dark out. I worry about this. If I ever have kids, them running away, then you see parents with their kids on leashes, and you're like, well, that's wrong. Yeah. But the more I think about it, I'm like, maybe put your kids on a leash.
Spent that whole time, didn't even answer the question.
What was the dog barking at?
That was the
anything. Dogs bark at
all right, that would have been an acceptable.
Dogs bark at mailman. Dogs bark at a bird in a tree.
Anything would have been an acceptable answer. You'd be a horrible contestant on Family Feud. In the dunes at Race Point Beach, amongst the scrub pines a mile east of a ranger station, Leslie discovered the decomposing body of a naked woman, approximately 5 feet, 6.5 inches tall, 145 pounds, between 20 and 40 years old, lying on one side of a beach towel, with her head on top of a folded pair of jeans and a blue bandana. It's estimated the body had been lying there anywhere from 10 days to 3 weeks before being discovered. Her head had been crushed on the left side, and she had been almost entirely decapitated. While no weapons were found, it's believed that something akin to a military entrenching tool was used to nearly sever the head. Also noticeably absent from the corpse were the victim's hands, presumably removed to avoid identification via fingerprints.
The body goes through some stuff.
But even from beyond that, like beyond the state of the body when you find it, 10 days to 3 weeks is a long time for it not to be discovered.
But out there on the dunes, man?
It's wide, it's expansive, though it is only a mile away from the ranger station. It would suggest that maybe the killer is a little bit more ballsy than would let on.
Or they just know that the ranger is a doofus who's not good at their job.
The violent state in which the body was left obviously suggested murder, and with no apparent sign of a struggle at the time, authorities believed that the unidentified victim would have known her murderer. Some of the only evidence of another person being around were size 10 footprints that indicated a heavy person who was running, and Provincetown Police Chief Jimmy Meads said the killer likely drove the victim to the dune in a 4-wheel drive sand vehicle to sunbathe. It's interesting to me that the footprints lasted that long.
Could have also been someone who just stumbled upon the body and was like, you know what?
We run into this a lot,
I don't know about this.
If you saw a body, would you call it in?
Yes, I would.
You have to, right?
I would, but I can understand where if, let's say you got a warrant out, maybe you didn't pay your taxes, you stumble upon a body, you don't want to invite any of that. It's probably safer to walk away sometimes.
You do usually paint yourself as suspect number one when you call in something.
Yeah.
Which isn't that fair.
So you stumble upon this body. What's your tone when you tell them?
Hey, how's it going? I just,
Oh, buddy.
Well, you can't sell too much panic in the voice.
How's it going?
I found a body out on the beach We should probably, you should come out here and pick it up.
Send out the paddy wagon.
Send out your boys. My kids play on this beach.
Oh, I didn't know you had kids in this scenario. Were you lying about that to them? Because that's...
Oh shit, would I be...
You're lying now.
Oh, now they have that on tape.
My kids play on this beach.
And now those cuffs are going to be on my wrists in probably a day's time.
Yeah.
Shit.
It'd be...
I just got arrested. This is why people don't call it in. I just got arrested.
Despite using bloodhounds, studying missing persons bulletins, scouring the registers of local lodgings, and looking into anyone who had a permit to bring their vehicle into the area, police turned up nothing. Margie Childs, a Provincetown local, noted in 2019 that the fact that no one could identify the Lady of the Dunes in the tight-knit community was very strange. In their attempt to ID the victim, police turned to the victim's extensive dental work, worth thousands of dollars at the time, and noted to be of New York style. Details of the dental work were sent to every dentist in Massachusetts, published in 2 dental journals, and distributed to organizations like the FBI and Interpol. No one came forward recognizing the work.
So they can't identify the victim. They looked at the dental work, which is, I guess, of New York style.
Some Big Apple choppers.
As a Chicago guy, you more into deep dish dental.
Did you have that like in your notes app last night? Yeah,
I did.
right.
Nailed it.
Weird. So no one even in the community is missing. Yeah, we know. You did it. So no. Yep. So yeah. Huh?
It's good.
So no one in the community is even missing.
No.
When they say New York dentistry, does that
I have no idea what the hell
that just means fancy? Like this was clearly done by, not your country bumpkin dentist.
I have no idea. My dad's a dentist himself. Never heard him refer to California dentistry.
The body was exhumed in 1980, so blood samples could be taken and an approximation of the victim's face could be molded from the skull. Photos of the resulting bust were sent around the country in the hopes that someone would recognize it. No identification resulted. 20 years later, in 2000, the body was exhumed again, when a bone fragment was taken to test a potential lead. That again turned up nothing. In 2013, the body was exhumed for a 3rd time to obtain even more DNA.
Yeah, they did 3 exhumations. Exhumations? That's a word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did 3 of them. And still, after
That's a
all
lot.
that, for that to produce no kind of DNA evidence of like who this person is, it's kind of insane to me because 1974 is not that long ago.
No.
You would think that DNA would be fresh enough that you could figure out this person's identity.
Oh, just also weird that nobody's like, hey, I don't know where my friend is.
With an unidentified murderer and an unidentified corpse, it's time to launch into theories. Our first theory is about the victim's identity and comes from the Tumblr of Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King.
Is this the first time Tumblr has played into...
This is the first time Tumblr has made an appearance.
The Tumblr crowd is such a vocal fan base of our show.
They're very supportive of Unsolved. They always have been. That being said, I'm pretty sure this Tumblr user is not. But I could be wrong. He's the son of Stephen King, so maybe.
Well, I'll tell you, if anyone knows horror, it's going to be the son of Stephen King.
Hill's interest in the Lady of the Dunes was sparked after reading Deborah Halber's book, The Skeleton Crew: How Amateur Sleuths Are Solving America's Coldest Cases. About an hour into a 40th anniversary screening of Steven Spielberg's classic film Jaws, Hill spotted an extra with a face that looked eerily familiar. The face reminded him of the composite drawings of the Lady of the Dunes. The extra appears in jeans and a blue bandana, the same clothing found with the Lady of the Dunes. While this may at first sound like a simple coincidence of wardrobe, Jaws was filmed on the Cape during the summer of 1974, meaning the scene in question may have been filmed weeks or days before her death. An Entertainment Weekly reporter contacted Universal about the identity of the extra, but they could not locate a record, and the casting director had already died. Hill admits his theory could be bogus, but says, quote, "If nothing else, it's a pretty good little ghost story," end quote.
That's some good lore. It does look similar to the composite. It would potentially explain her being an outsider.
Stevie Spielberg shows up in town. It's going to attract people from out of town that want to be a part of the magic. He wasn't a big director at that point, so the security around that probably
Lax.
wasn't as, stringent.
Yeah.
Also, kind of crazy that set was so loosey-goosey that they don't even have notes of the names of all the extras.
I wonder if that's because it was just such a long, drawn-out debacle that they just sort of a lot of that got lost in the shuffle.
Or she did truly sneak onto the set.
Yeah.
And when they were shooting, just walked into the shot. Also, it fits the timeline, fits the location. She kind of looks like the person. Frankly, Joe Hill, I think you've done it.
Yeah.
Let's just end the episode there.
Well, we can't.
Okay, let's move on then.
For our next theory, we move from movie monster to real-life mobster, Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger, you may recall, was the infamous Boston mob leader who was beaten to death in prison while serving 2 life sentences for 11 convicted murders, and it's widely thought he was responsible for many more. In 2015, a woman named Sandra Lee, who suggested her family was close with Bulger at the time of the murder and even called him Uncle Jimmy, told a reporter that the Lady of the Dunes bore a striking resemblance to one of Whitey's alleged murders. In particular, Lee believes the method of disposal and attempts to avoid identification of the body are strikingly similar to the murder of Debbie Davis. In Davis's case, the victim's teeth were removed, presumably in an attempt to avoid identification. Davis was strangled to death, and the Lady of the Dunes showed signs of strangulation. Davis's hands, however, were not removed, and the Lady of the Dunes' teeth were left in place. Bulger has never been officially associated with the case as a subject. Lee also claims to remember seeing Whitey in Provincetown at the time of the Lady of the Dunes' murder. What's more, for some reason, Lee has also claimed that when she was 9 years old, she discovered the unidentified body on the morning of July 26, 1974, before Leslie Metcalf, but did not alert authorities.
I was starting to see what she was selling there for a second, but then she mentions that she saw the body and didn't identify it, which makes her kind of just seem like a kid making up a tall tale.
Is she the one who also saw Whitey in town?
Yes, that's what she says. This is a word-of-mouth theory here. However, Debbie Davis also was found near a shoreline, so there's similarity there, but like I said, the hands weren't cut off.
But teeth removed. So still care taken to mask the identity in some way.
Whitey Bulger does fit the description of the professional that I was suggesting earlier, that this didn't seem like an amateur killing or perhaps even a crime of passion.
Yeah. I don't know enough about him to really peg him for this, but I guess all we really need to know is that he was a vicious murderer.
True. So that's why, like, if we're theorizing that he may have murdered somebody else, I don't really feel too bad about it.
Our third theory is that serial killer Haddon Clark, who is currently serving 70 years in prison for theft and the murder of 2 women, was responsible for the murder. This theory was first presented by Haddon Clark. Speaking with journalist and former police officer Alec Wilkinson, Clark claimed that while staying with his grandfather on Cape Cod in 1974, he lured a woman into the dunes, where he struck her in the head with a surf-casting fishing rod. He claimed he then retrieved a saw from his truck and removed her hands, using some of her fingers as fishing bait and burying the hands elsewhere. Casting doubt on Clark's claims is the fact that the details he provided about the murder were featured in newspaper articles. Clark also has a history of claiming involvement in other murders that never checked out.
Bullshit. What a liar.
Yeah, don't even give him the satisfaction.
Nah.
We should just move to the next
Yeah.
theory. Let's just swipe away.
Go to hell, dude.
Our final theory holds that the Lady of the Dunes was herself a criminal. The fact that her hands were removed could suggest that the murderer knew the victim's fingerprints would be on file somewhere. This led authorities to suspect the lady could be Rory Jean Kessinger. Kessinger had a criminal history of bank robberies and attempting to shoot police, including once in a hospital with the officer's own gun. When the Lady of the Dunes was discovered, Kessinger had recently escaped from Plymouth County Jail, just across Cape Cod Bay from Provincetown. While awaiting trial, someone was able to get Kessinger a hacksaw blade, which she used to free herself. In classic escapee fashion, she used tethered bed sheets to rappel out of a window and was met by a car that drove her away.
I'm a guard at the prison.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be making sure nobody gets out. I'm up there on the little tower. I swing the spotlight because I hear a commotion. I see a woman crawling down the side of the building. I go to sound the alarm, and then suddenly I put it down. I'm so impressed with this lady. Is she a monster? Is she bad?
I mean, she did attempt to shoot a police officer with his own gun.
What are you gonna do?
Not that. That's what you're gonna do.
But I'm so charmed by her savviness.
She just tied bed sheets together. That's like some
It's
fairy
cool.
tale shit. That's not even creative.
And it worked. Most people would probably scoff at that and say, well, that's only in cartoons. Nobody does this.
Yeah, but I think if you're sitting around in a locked cell long enough, you'll think of anything.
Yeah, and you ought to. I mean, assuming you're
So
a
there's
cool
nothing-
lady like this.
there's
What did she do?
nothing-
She just robbed some banks?
And attempted to
Baller.
shoot.
Well, the cop was, probably being mean to her.
It said the sculptural bust made of the Lady of the Dunes after the 1980 exhumation had a striking resemblance to Kessinger. In the late 90s, authorities tracked down Kessinger's mother, who agreed to give a saliva sample to see if her DNA meant she was the mother of the victim. The theory was so strong that it's what led to the body being exhumed again in 2000. Both tests failed in determining whether it was a match, which led to another test in 2002 that proved conclusively that there was no match between Kessinger and the Lady of the Dunes.
What, but did she just disappear then?
Yeah, and I think,
So she may be,
that's mission accomplished for someone
she
who
may be out
escapes
there.
prison.
She actually may be watching this video and hearing me lavish praise upon
This
her.
is the first theory that we've had that has, I guess, a somewhat happy ending. Because
Maybe.
if you escape prison, the goal is to not be caught.
Yeah.
And if we found out the Lady of the Dunes was her, she got.
This case has been closely followed in the more than 45 years since Leslie Metcalf discovered the Lady of the Dunes, resulting in numerous other theories with varying degrees of plausibility. In the 1980s, a psychic told Provincetown Police Chief Jimmy Meads that the victim was a Canadian nurse named either Carolyn or Marilyn O'Leary. While the word of a psychic may not seem like enough to merit further scrutiny, another person had also reported the victim to be an American nurse named Carolyn O'Leary, who had gone missing. Upon investigation, authorities found O'Leary to be very much alive.
Great job, psychics. What a shock.
What do you think about that investigative technique?
I mean, I think all psychics are bullshit, so
But
I don't care.
I will say that there has to be at least one case that a psychic actually solved. Otherwise, why would we keep using them?
No one's using them. I think they're just like, you must believe me. And then some dipshit at the station is like, I think we should hear this lady out.
Despite over 4 decades of dead ends, investigations continued. According to journalist Mary Ann Bragg, after 3 exhumations, authorities currently have the skull, ribs, the left scapula, the right scapula, a tissue sample of a leg, and hair samples in their possession. DAs from California who worked on the Golden State Killer case, which was finally solved using genealogy records, have been brought over to look into the case. There's even a Twitter account dedicated to discovering the identity of the Lady of the Dunes. Prior to his death in 2011, Police Chief Meads stated that the only way to solve the case would be if someone on their deathbed wanted to clear their conscience before passing.
Nutso.
Yeah, it's a crazy case. I gotta say, after all those theories, and this is not just because I love the film Jaws, I do think it's actually a very interesting theory.
It is interesting, but at the same time, I don't know if there's enough there.
Maybe.
And frankly, I'd like to enjoy the film Jaws without every time watching it being like, it's the Lady of the Dunes.
The thing about the theory, though, is it doesn't solve the case. It just solves the identity of her. It doesn't have any kind of bearing towards who the criminal or the killer is.
Yes, but once you figure out the identity, then
You could start opening up a network.
yeah, quite a prominent one, I would
That
say.
is true. You know what? The turtleneck grew on me.
Thank you. How about that mustache?
No. Hello and welcome to another edition of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem, a show where we answer your most pressing questions about the most recent episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved, which was Lady of the Dunes. All the questions we're answering today came from you guys via our BuzzFeed Unsolved Facebook page, our BuzzFeed Unsolved Instagram page, as well as directly on the video on
Bun.
Well,
I don't know if that was
really
synchronized because it's gonna be weird because we're all over the place here. Wait, Ryan, you're right here. You're the coffee machine to me. I'm sitting next to a coffee machine.
I would
This
be.
is you.
I'm usually on. I'm always so directionally challenged.
Think of yourself in a regular postmortem shoot. That's where we are.
I always forget where I am.
It's not that hard. You're on the left side of the table.
I know. So I'm looking to my right. Yes.
Correct. And I'm.
Yes.
Hi, Ryan. Good to see you.
If
Very
we're split
easy.
screening, yeah. Here we go. Hello, Shane. It's good to see you too.
Hi.
I fancy seeing you in my living room. Not my living room. I'm
Yeah.
in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Felt very weird to say that whole intro. You know, not in the studio. I'm in my bedroom.
Yes, as you can tell, we're not on our usual set today. In fact, wait, are you in your bedroom right now? You in your
I'm
kitchen?
in my
Where are
bedroom.
you?
I've now
I need
brought
to
in
visualize.
I've brought the bun community into my room.
I've been trying to find different corners of my apartment to shoot in all week. for various things. We're all over the place.
For the variety, or just because you don't want to drive
For the variety,
Sarah
I guess.
insane?
No, I mean, I just don't. I thought about maybe shooting it outside. You know, hop into those comments sections, hop onto those forums.
You know, the internet was originally conceived of to create connection, and now that's what we're depending on it for. So
That's true. Isn't that funny?
ain't that funny?
Fan art time.
Yeah, let's go to fan art. Okay.
Look at this one. That's us.
Yeah. How much of this is going to be you and I talking over each other?
I don't know. It's a good one. It's us. That's when we were. What season is that? I like when people put their little pens and pencils in it, or markers.
It's kind of almost like a calling card. This is from True Crime. This was some season art, and this comes from Instagram from Anisha.a. I will say I got some chubby little chipmunk cheeks in this, but I actually think it's kind of fun.
Look, I'm gonna draw us with my eyes closed and see how good I can do.
All right, this is definitely gonna be worth the time. I can't even see what he's doing, so I have no idea how dumb this is gonna end up being.
Yeah, sort of. Again, this was done with my eyes closed. Not bad. I gave you weird lip. Oh no, you know what? It's close. It's actually not bad. It sort of looks like abstract art, but
Here's the thing, I feel like what you just drew looks nothing like me. That's what I think.
I'll take a photo and send it to you.
I'm gonna look at this later, and it's just gonna be a stick.
I'm gonna take a photo and send it to you
with a
right
big
now.
old head on it.
Well, it's about to finish sending. It did that thing where it gets like 90% of the way there. Yeah. God, that's frustrating. Well, it'll show up for you at some point, and then you'll have a fun little surprise.
I'm sure it'll be well worth the wait. Let's move on to the next piece of art, by the way, because that's what we were doing. There's another piece of art here from Instagram from Ellie Struggle or Ellis.
Ellie Struggle?
No, it's Ellie Struggle. It can't be Ellis Struggle. Ellis Struggle would be fun, but
either way, cool name. Ellie Struggle or Ellis Struggle.
This is a classic ghost hunting photo of us. It looks like Shane has his Osmo, the camera that always gives us problems on set. And
it stinks. I mean, it's good. Thank you, Osmo. It's question time. Let's talk about the Lady of the Dunes. Let's start off with Grahamtown from, by the way, my name is Charlotte. For the postmortem, are the Ghoul Boys staying safe and staying home? Thank you for blessing us with these episodes while the world burns. Also, I think that the victim's hands were cut off because because she either scratched her attacker, leading to DNA under her fingernails, or to avoid positive identification. What boggles me so much is if she knew the killer, why wouldn't her killer know that she'd had such extensive dental work and therefore might be easily identifiable? Anyway, love you both. Stay safe.
Well, before we get into that question, your photo just came in, and yeah, just as I suspected, not worth it. I look like a little goldfish.
What about the rest of it? I don't know. They cut off her hands. Fun.
Yeah. Well, we were wondering why they would cut off the hands. We thought maybe fingerprints would be an identifying mark, but however, I guess this is a great point. If the person was attacked, there's a high likelihood that this person would scratch said attacker, and that person's skin DNA would be under their fingernails, which is common in these kind of cases. So this could be that person getting rid of that. However, it does kind of seem sloppy for them to not get rid of the teeth, because dental's also something you usually get rid of. The whole case is just wonky. I don't know. Just another thing that we really can't figure out, but a good point that the skin evidence is probably why the hands were removed. This comes from Grace Rutledge, #postmortem. Forensic science grad student here. Did they ever test the jeans and bandana for hair/fibers or DNA? Obviously the jeans were placed there, so if it was more likely than not that some of the perpetrator's DNA was on the jeans as well as their hair and some fibers. The answer to that is most likely I don't know, because I don't have access to those reports. You would think that they would look at the pants and investigate for DNA of any kind. So I'm gonna assume yes.
What if, when did this happen? 70s? Jaws time, so
yes.
What, 76? It's very funny to imagine 20 years after the fact, someone saying, the pants.
Yeah, like they just took the pants from the scene and just was like, I hate Levi's, toss them in the ocean. I'm pretty sure that they boxed those bad boys up and, gave them a good looking over. But you know what? To Grace's credit here, a lot of people that we featured on the show in terms of the investigating staff have been idiots. So
that's true. Know. Plenty of them out there. Yeah, who knows? I'm sure it's been covered. We got, let's spin it on over to you tube. In Jaws the novel, the reason the mayor leaves the beach open is because the mafia has interests in the real estate. Possible real-life connection?
Maybe. I mean, Whitey Bulger was a suspect in this, so it's possible.
I've never read the novel Jaws. Who is that? By Peter Benchley?
Yeah. Much more malicious intent behind the mayor in the novel. In the movie, he's like, yeah, well, in the movie, he's like, we got to keep it open. 4th of July, where are they going to throw their dogs?
Mayor Larry Vaughn, he's a real son of a bitch.
Yeah, but even still, he's like, people love the dogs and the sun. And where are they going to show their flag?
But to be fair, I do like that in the movie, like 2/3 of the way through, I mean, granted, after several people have died, he's like, all right, I made a mistake, I goofed.
Hey, mulligan, mulligan.
Yeah. And he really plays it. But then I think he shows up in the sequel, he's like, let's open that beach again.
Yeah, I know. So, what are we going to do? Cancel 4th of July 2 times?
But is that a pun? He's dropping someone on the set of Jaws?
Well, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's obviously a pun.
I like that.
It's good. I don't think Stevie would have it in him. The man made E.T., Heart of Gold. How could he possibly ever murder somebody?
Yeah.
When he's building life, with life being a friendship between a young boy and an alien.
Yeah, I can't see Steven doing that. Steven seems like a nice guy, very pink lips, and always wearing funny hats and saying action and doing this, and to get me Tom Hanks, get me...
You just gonna keep mentioning things that Steven Spielberg does?
Yeah. I'd like to make a film that Kubrick wanted to do, but then he died, and don't forget about Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, before you spiral further here, I'm just gonna go into another question. This comes from Instagram as well. This comes from Rini_Maria_. If she was indeed the undocumented extra from Jaws, wouldn't at least someone working on the film, actor or crew alike, wouldn't they have recognized her from even just briefly working with her or whatnot? #postmortem, #Bugara. That is a good point. However, I will say, Shane and I were on a film set recently. We were on SWAT. And I gotta tell you, that was a hive of activity and, lots of faces in a lot of different places. Also, Jaws, I don't know if you know this, was a very hectic shooting experience. They were over budget by months, not days, and they didn't know if they were gonna finish the film, so let's just say maybe security got a little lax.
Yeah, I think they were involving the whole town in that. It was like, hey, are you around? Would you like to be in a film?
Would you like to DP the film?
Yeah.
Because our funding just got cut. One of you want to
dress up like a shark?
Are you a big
robotic shark?
Inside Jaws, great documentary on Vimeo. Go check that out after you, of course, go to watch her.
I'll take one from YouTube. This is from Mia Grace, BuzzFeed Unsolved Network. I need to know if there's more backstory behind Shane disliking dogs. Also, why does Shane still look like a pretentious 60s artist? Thank you for feeding me quarantine content, lads. When I was growing up, I used to have nightmares of a big, angry, black dog. And it would always sort of be standing there growling. And then it would jump at me, and it would bite my face, and it would just start chewing.
It would bite your face?
Yeah, the dog always went for my face and just started eating it, and I didn't care for it. Oh, there was another time I was out playing with the kids in my neighborhood when I was also a kid, and one of our neighbors had this rotten husky, and the husky got loose, and it just started chasing me through the neighborhood. I don't think it wanted to play. It looked mad. And I ran into a neighbor's garage who I didn't know, and I said, let me in, and they let me in. And
it sounds like you let 2 dogs ruin your entire life experience with dogs. It made
the other thing is I just didn't grow up with them. So like in the same way that I didn't really care about cats before I got one, now I have one and I understand him, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're fine with me. At some point, I'll probably get a dog.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm gonna move on here to Instagram. This is from Pamedith. This is about the case. For the post-mortem, sand can also help preserve a body. It absorbs fluid from the body, and without moisture, bacteria cannot break down the body. Also, the heat in sandy regions aids in drying and preserving. Maybe the body wasn't found right away because the sand covered it up. This is in reference to us wondering how a body could have been dumped there and left from anywhere from, 10 days to 3 weeks without being discovered. This is actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, seems cool. Could be. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good explanation. I really don't have anything else to say other than I tip my cap if I was wearing one, and there you go.
Here's another question from Instagram. I like to put out one of these PSAs every season, but someone said, this is from Sam McGuitar. Not related to this case, but have you guys ever gotten an email or tips from the fan base on other cases? Not really, though we do get a lot of people who sometimes say, hey, this person in my town has gone missing. Or my friend can't find their aunt.
Yeah.
And you guys should do an episode about it. And I'd just like to remind everyone that we are, first and foremost, actors.
No, but seriously, we're not, even though we're not
seriously,
actors,
we're not detectives.
we're not investigators.
And we just, we make some yucks out of things. And we will not be able to help with current cases that are out there. And also, now we can't leave our homes, so even more so.
Mikalina Piotrowska, she says, hashtag postmortem, what about the dog? Maybe the lady was actually its owner. One more thing, if she was an out-of-towner, were there no hotel records of a woman like this? Greetings from Poland.
Poland! Hey! Never been. That's where I'm technically from. My ancestors were there. I don't know about the dog. I'm sure.
Good thing we snuck that in there.
I feel like they would. I feel like they would have known because no one would have claimed the dog. I'm sure the dog ran to someone's house and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's that person's dog."
Also, I don't know. It said anywhere from 10 days to 3 weeks before the body was found. That would mean the dog was roaming free for 10 days.
I mean, dogs do that.
I mean, but if a dog
Ain't you ever seen Homeward Bound?
Well, okay, yeah, we all know the documentary Homeward Bound, but I am
there's two
saying
of
that,
them.
like, if a dog...
There's two. There's the first one, and then the second one, they get lost in, I believe it's San Francisco.
Yeah, it's possible, but I would think the dog, a house dog, would have trouble surviving for that long. Also, good point on the hotel records, probably something they should have checked if they didn't. I would imagine they did. Very small town. Not a lot of hotel logs to check, so probably one of the first things I would do. But once again, I'm not an investigator, and I guess neither are you, but that's a good suggestion. So let's move on to the last question here. This is from YouTube. This comes from Kat Fondo. What is the dummy's, the mannequin's name? It has the best fashion on the show. Let's address the first part. The dummy's name is Crimey, the crime mannequin.
That's right.
It took us a long time to think of that one.
And the thing about the fashion,
the best
sense,
fashion
what
on
was
the
that?
show.
Get out of
Kind
here.
of feels like a low blow there. I don't know what's up with that.
I don't think we should do roast mortem this week because it's, hey, let's just spread positivity. Go draw a happy picture and put it on your window for your neighbors to see. Do that
Also,
instead.
we've recorded for an enormous amount of time right now.
Yeah, we actually recorded for 4.5 hours. They'll whittle this down to a clean 25.
They'll take it down to a tight 15.
Ryan, what's coming up this week on BuzzFeed Unsolved True Crime Season 6, Episode 3?
Ooh, let's see. How do I? Let's just say that we take another nice trip down memory lane into the old times of Tinseltown.
I don't remember what this week's episode is.
Yeah, I suspected, but that's a good clue. And we're running out of these old-timey Hollywood ones, so if maybe some of you entrepreneurial viewers out there might be able to put on your little investigator caps, or as Shane calls them, I always forget what the hell they're called, and then you figure it out.
Deer Stalker. All right, I think that about does it, right?
Yeah, I think that does it. That does it for this episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem. Make sure you watch the episode this Friday. Send in your questions to the BuzzFeed Unsolved Facebook page, the BuzzFeed Unsolved Instagram page, or comment directly on the video on Bun, and maybe you'll be in the next episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved. Even remotely, he's trying to ruin that outro, but you know what? I could block him out now, so it doesn't even matter. You hear that, Shane? I'm looking at you.
Cool. Well, we'll see you next week, everybody.
This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we tap into a mystery that you, the unsolved masses, have often requested. Bella in the Wych Elm.
You think we're not listening to you out there? We're listening.
We always got our ears open.
I'd rather do this than someone who's like, hey, my aunt disappeared. Wouldn't it be fun to look into that?
Yeah, can you boys get on the case and crack a couple funny jokes about Marge. By the way, I have this on my head because my hair's too long and I don't know what to do anymore. So
Sure.
I just tied it up like a little present.
Incredibly respectful. Let's dig in. Oh, I'm usually the sipper.
We did that in reverse. Should you open the case file?
Feels wrong.
It does. Let me do that. Give me that before you hurt yourself.
On April 18th, 1943, 4 teenage boys from Birmingham, England were marching through Hagley Wood searching for food. World War II was raging across Europe, and due to rationing, Bob Farmer, Robert Hart, Fred Payne, and Thomas Willits were on the lookout for bird nests that might have some free eggs.
Fun to hunt for eggs with your boys.
Because they were starving, though.
Yes, but that's what they were doing. I'm not making a joke about it.
You started the sentence with fun to hunt with eggs with your boys.
It sounds like a fun thing to do.
Not when you're starving, though.
Let's say you're not starving. Still fun to go out in the woods and hunt for things with your boys.
I suppose, yeah.
One of the boys split off to look in the stump of an old wych elm tree. When he peered through the tangled branches, a round, white object caught his eye. The young man had not discovered an egg, however, but a human skull. One of the boys used a stick to remove the skull from the tree. Before leaving the scene, the skull was replaced, and it said the boys vowed never to speak of it again. By the next day, one of the boys squealed to his father, who in turn alerted police.
Do you think...
How would you react, actually? I'm curious.
I was actually going to say, here's how I would react. Oh, dude! Like that.
To a human skull.
Probably.
You wouldn't go, zoinks, let's get home.
Because that's better? Zoinks?
I would drop it, I'd scream, and I'd run straight to my mother. It doesn't shock me, actually, now. I don't know why I was shocked by you not being alarmed by a human skull.
It's different, though, when it's a skull, because it's like, well, it's just a funny skeleton. It's a funny bone man.
It was a human's head.
It was.
Now imagine a skeleton with hair coming out of it, how scary that is. You ever think about that? Does hair go through the skull, or does it come from the top?
Absolutely not.
How does it start?
Do you understand anything about science?
I don't. Where does hair start?
Do you think it starts in the brain, Ryan?
Yeah, it starts in the brain.
It goes through the
brain. No, but what part of the epidermal layer is it on? Like, is it just like...
I don't know, but it's above the bone.
Then why is it sometimes on the skull?
What are you talking? Because it's connected to the skin that is connected to the skull.
No, but the skin is gone, is what I'm saying. And I've heard that sometimes the hair is stuck into the skull.
That's not true. Does hair grow through the skull?
One of the boys, Thomas Willits, accompanied police back to the stump, located just 35 yards from Hagley Wood Lane. Authorities found a tree approximately 5 to 6 feet tall, with an opening that tapered down, getting as narrow as 17 inches in diameter at one point. Investigators gathered the skull and other bones from the tree, as well as some bones found in the surrounding area believed to have been scattered by foxes and squirrels.
I wouldn't bother.
Jesus Christ.
It's bones!
It's a fucking person. They were bones. They're
bones
now.
By now.
You're bones now.
I am bones now, but there's a lot of meat around those bones. When I am bones, if you find me somewhere,
well, you want me to use your femur as a frisbee or something? Or
sure.
A boomerang?
Give it to a dog.
I'm not going to do that with your bones.
I'll bequeath my bones to someone else.
You strike me as a cremated kind of guy.
I am a do whatever the hell you want kind of guy.
Jesus Christ.
I did see a video of a sky burial, and I love that, where they put your body out in a field and they kind of chop you up into fillets, and then a bunch of giant vultures come and eat you.
I had a much different image in my head.
Oh, like you put me in a cannon and shoot me at the sun or something?
Just put you in a plane and just throw you off the plane.
That actually sounds pretty baller, too.
Someone chilling on like an inner tube in their pool, and all of a sudden just Shane Madej's corpse rains from the sky.
Rockets into the ground.
Ruins
like
Marge's
God
afternoon.
shot me out of a gun.
Forensic scientist Professor J.M. Webster was then able to partially reconstruct the skeleton of a woman between 25 and 40 years old, most likely closer to 35. The bones showed no signs of disease or violence, though a large piece of taffeta had been stuffed into the mouth, leading to a suspicion of asphyxiation as a possible cause of death. A probable description of the woman was released to the public, describing a woman just 5 feet tall, with light brown hair, dressed in a striped dark blue and mustard-colored cardigan and a mustard-colored skirt. One blue shoe, size 5.5, was found outside of the tree. Inside the trunk was its matching partner, as well as a cheap rolled gold wedding ring. It was believed the woman had been dead for at least 18 months. Suicide as a possible cause of death was ruled out due to the peculiar shape of the tree. Webster said, quote, "I cannot imagine a person getting into the tree voluntarily. Even a small person like this could not have got in without doing herself a considerable amount of tearing," end quote.
What a verdict.
Yeah. I think someone murdered her. This lady couldn't have shoved herself in that tree. I think someone else did it. Case closed.
But who put her in there is the question.
And also the question, if someone were to have, say, murdered her, you would have to do it almost immediately before rigor mortis set in. Either that, or they waited till complete decomposition and then shoved the bones in there. But I don't think that's the case either.
That's a long wait for complete decomposition.
Do you ever think about how weird it is to like, okay, so you pick up a body, right? You're picking it up when it has.
Are you talking
the
about when
bones.
it decomposes?
When it's fully a skeleton. How strange that sensation would be to pick up what used to be a body, but now it's just fully bones. It's a full skeleton.
Yeah, but I don't think the skeleton's like.
Do they stay together?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's like a
Halloween.
like a Merry Melodies cartoon. Playing the ribs like a xylophone.
Like a xylophone. This episode is called Ryan Does Not Know a Lot About Human Physiology.
Police rooted through records of missing women, but turned up nothing. After releasing the probable description of the woman, calls came in from around the area, but none of the leads produced a match. An inquest jury found a verdict of, quote, "murder by some person or persons unknown," end quote. On May 4th, a report was published in the Birmingham Daily Gazette calling for dentists to come forward who may recognize some distinctive features in the woman's teeth. In her lower jaw, her front teeth overlapped, and a tooth was missing from the right side, likely pulled by a dentist within a year of the woman's death. Still, no identity could be given to the remains.
Your dad ever help out on a case?
No, and I'm just starting to wonder how useful are dentists when it comes to these cases. It seems like every time we call in a dentist, I got nothing.
Yeah, those are teeth, all right.
In March of 1944, an empty building in Birmingham was graffitied in chalk, quote, "Who put Bella down the wych elm, Hagley Wood," end quote. It had been almost a year since the body was found, though this was the first time she was given a name. The words appeared too high up on the wall to be attributed to boys pulling a prank, and police were intrigued. After discovering this graffiti, another report came in to authorities about a house on Hayden Hill Road that had similarly been vandalized months prior with the words, quote, "Who put Lubella down the wych elm," end quote. Because the graffiti was all in the same handwriting, and because the tags all spelled witch correctly, police believed a lone countryman was responsible. Anyone who knew of a Bella who had gone missing were asked to alert police.
What is this person accomplishing by doing this?
Raising hell, you know? Getting people talking about
Creating hysteria?
Yeah, also probably putting pressure on the investigation.
Do you think this is someone trying to pressure the investigation to get closed, or you think this is a killer mocking the police? Which one do you lean towards?
I lean toward the former. I feel like someone is just stirring the pot.
I actually think it's someone mocking the police, like a Zodiac of sorts.
Then why wouldn't you just I put Bella in the wych elm?
Because who put Bella in the wych elm is...
Me.
No, I'm saying that's like more provocative.
I feel like more provocative is I put Bella in the wych elm.
Can you imagine that's how they solved the case? They're at a town hall meeting and they're like, "Who put Bella in the wych elm?" And someone goes, "Me!" It was me!
In August of 1944, the writings began to appear again. Quote, "Hagley Wood Lubella was opposite Rose and Crown, Hasbury," end quote, was found written both in nearby Halesowen and Wolverhampton. Again, the handwriting appeared to match the previous vandalism. Still, no one could turn up records of any Lubella or Bella that matched the body found. In 1953, 9 years after the last graffiti of note appeared, police finally found their wych elm Banksy, though it turned out the authorities had been barking up the wrong tree. The county's detective superintendent remarked, quote, "It was the work of a crank who we are satisfied knew nothing and had nothing to do with the case, so it seems that Bella wasn't even Bella after all," end quote.
So just a funster.
Just a funster.
You live in a quiet town. Most exciting thing that's happened in the past decade is that they found bones in a tree.
Oh, you do anything else that's not as disrespectful?
Well, I'm saying there's a big bone commotion, and that's fun, and then it dies down, and everyone stops talking about the bones. You're going to work. Nothing exciting is happening. Well, it sure would be fun if everyone got in a tizzy about them bones again. write about the bones on a
Or
wall.
why don't you do something else, like crop circles?
Well, they do that all there too. So
That's what I'm saying. You could do something that's fun like that.
crop circles are a lot of work.
With police stumped, it's time to examine some theories. Our first theory was one advanced by police early, that the mystery woman's death occurred during one of the war's air raids. Upon hearing air raid sirens, the woman may have sought safety in the woods. Police suppose the woman may have been attacked and gagged, perhaps dying accidentally as a result, and then stuffed into the elm. Her family would have then assumed she died in the raid and not alerted any authorities. However, this theory fails to explain how the woman got in the tree and who was responsible.
One thing about the air raid could be the actual sirens going off would then cover any screaming.
True. Air raids are scary, man. I can't even imagine. Growing up in Illinois, you get those tornado sirens every now and then.
Knowing you, I'm surprised you wouldn't just walk out into the open with your arms spread wide, just screaming, "Take me" at the sky.
Not for tornadoes, not for tornadoes. You ever seen Twister?
I've seen Twister, yes.
It's no joke. It's strange when your life is just interrupted by a large noise that everybody else can also hear. There's no excuses, you know? It's like, well, I guess me and everyone in this neighborhood and county have to hide now. Time to hide, everybody!
A spookier theory, detailed in a 1950 article in the Birmingham Daily Gazette and harbored by Egyptologist Dr. Margaret Murray, posits that the woman may have been a human sacrifice. Murray stated she believed there were, quote, still remnants of witchcraft in isolated parts of Great Britain, end quote. According to Murray, quote, the sacrifices are carried out by people who still believe in a religion practiced in Britain before Christianity, whom we call devil worshippers. They still practice black magic. The belief is that if life is taken out of the ground through farming, it must be replaced by a blood sacrifice, end quote. Murray believed not just the woman found in the Wych Elm, but also another person later found murdered in the area could be attributed to these devil worshippers.
What a crock of shit.
Why do you say that?
Here's the thing. I think what happened was somebody bad committed something very bad, and then somebody else took that and tried to wedge it into this narrative of devil worshipping and then like had an agenda. But I know I'm the resident supernatural guy, but to me this just seems like plain old murder.
But this doesn't feel like supernatural so much as people believing in the supernatural and acting out on it. There's no evidence of supernatural here. It's just people being like, I really want to win the prize at the farmer's market, so I'm going to feed my soil with the blood of a virgin.
I just don't know if shoving someone in a wych elm is very ritualistic.
I'd say so.
I think clearly it worked as a way to hide a body.
According to author Donald McCormick, there had always been talk of Hagley Wood being the home of some covens of witches. He even pointed to an ancient tradition of trapping a witch's spirit inside a hollow tree, using it as a sort of prison to prevent her from causing any further trouble in the world. There were indications that the tree in which the body was found had, before the body was placed inside, been occasionally trimmed, which stunted its growth.
I gotta plant one of these trees.
That's what you took from that?
Yeah, I guess.
That's alarming.
It'd be fun to have people over and be like, you see that? There's a witch elm.
I swear to God, I thought you were gonna say it'd be fun to have people in a tree. And I got really scared.
It'd be fun to have people over and stuff them into my witch elm.
To my witch prison.
Though there isn't much physical evidence that occult rites are to blame for Bella's death, one man did turn to alternative methods in an attempt to unearth some answers. Late one night in January 1954, Mr. George Elwell, a British Railways official and spare time inventor, went for a walk in Hagley Wood, pausing at the infamous Wych Elm. After, quote, assimilating to the atmosphere, end quote, Elwell returned home and decided to place himself in a hypnotic trance, using a blinking car headlamp and a mirror and recording the results.
He's sitting in front of his car headlight in his driveway, saying this aloud, staring directly at the blinking like turn signal. Is that what he's doing? What a weirdo.
I mean, there's no way to explain that without it seeming psychotic. Be honest, you're hearing him out though. You want to hear what this crazy man says.
Yeah.
After the 15 minutes, Elwell came to. He sent a transcript to police, which included the alleged murderer's name and a description. It's unclear what police did with the report, but suffice it to say, they never announced, case closed.
I bet they filed that in the special filing cabinet. The trash can.
Our final and most intricate theory as to why no one came forward to identify the woman was because she was a foreigner and possibly even a Nazi spy. In November 1953, a Wolverhampton newspaper received a letter claiming the sender knew the identities of the woman in the tree and her murderer. The letter, signed simply Anna, explained, quote, "You will never solve the mystery. The one person who could give the answer is now beyond the jurisdiction of earthly courts. The affair is closed and involves no witches, black magic, or moonlight rites. The person responsible died insane in 1942, and the victim was Dutch and arrived illegally in England about 1941, end quote.
That's cool!
That is the coolest way to say someone
I
has
love
passed
it.
away that I have ever heard.
I do very much love it.
God, that's good
So
stuff.
much flavor. I'm salivating.
That's a juicy wing that I'm peeling all the meat off the
Yeah,
bone.
dunk that shit in some ranch, buddy. I really think this. If you're that good at writing, why would you lie about this?
It's still under the guise of anonymity. It's still a tale, regardless.
The Anna who wrote the letter was eventually found and questioned by police. Reports say this Anna's identity was one Una Mossop. Una claimed that her husband, a Royal Air Force pilot named Jack Mossop, got caught up in a branch of a spy ring that the woman in the tree was involved in. Una claimed the woman was a spy looking for intel on where future air raids should strike in England. There are different accounts of Jack's possible involvement with the woman found in the tree. One claims Jack and a Dutch man named Van Ralt, who was also part of the spy ring, were out drinking in a pub with the woman. She allegedly got too drunk, passed out, and the two men stuffed the poor woman into a tree as a joke. When she awoke, she was unable to free herself and ended up dying there. Another version of the story states that Van Ralt and the woman were in a car when they picked up Jack. A little while later, Van Ralt strangled the woman, presumably due to a disagreement within their spy ring, and then put her in the tree.
You know what we do with spies around here? We put them in the witch elm. Love spy stuff. I feel like spy stuff happens all the time, and probably a lot of the things that seem unsolved are probably spy stuff. Spies are good at covering their tracks. Sure, they could have just disposed of the body, but if it's someone that nobody knows and who doesn't really have a quote-unquote identity, yeah, leave the body there, sure, whatever.
You're murdering a ghost at that point.
Yeah.
However, can we just revisit that first story? If that's how people in England treat their fellow mates that are drunk,
Yeah.
by stuffing them in a wych elm.
We'll stuff you in a tree.
See, in America, when you do something like passing out with your shoes on, you draw a funny little thing on their face.
A funny little what, Ryan?
I mean, could be a wiener.
Whatever happened to the woman, Una stated it gave her late husband nightmares, causing a decline in his mental health. Jack died in a mental hospital before the remains were discovered. While not much was made of Una's story, there's a bit more to this theory than the pulpy claims of a wartime widow. After hearing of the Anna signed letter, which claimed Bella was Dutch, author Donald McCormick traveled to Holland to see if he could find anything to substantiate the claim. There, he found remarkable evidence that confirmed at least some of what Una had written. McCormick learned that within the Nazi espionage system, a man named Lehrer worked on recruiting accomplices who could work in Britain as spies. Lehrer allegedly had a Dutch girlfriend who lived in Birmingham in the 30s, giving her great knowledge of Britain and allowing her to speak with no detectable Dutch accent. McCormick states that in March and April of 1941, records show 5 German spies were sent into England from Holland during Operation Sea Lion. One of these spies, a woman with the codename Clara, was reportedly dropped by plane over an area that happened to encompass Hagley Wood. Clara never made contact and was presumed MIA. Digging deeper, McCormick spoke with a former Nazi, Franz Rathgeb, who was living in Paraguay under an alias. Rathgeb gave McCormick a description of Clara that largely matched that of the woman found in the tree.
Talk about going the extra mile. This guy actually went to Holland to track down his theory. What do? We sit here and do a little Googling.
I mean, we don't do shit.
Declassified MI5 files reveal the existence of a German spy captured while parachuting into England in 1941 by the name of Josef Jacobs. Once apprehended, one of his possessions in particular sticks out, a photograph of a German singer-actress, Clara Bauerle. Jacobs claimed Clara was both his girlfriend and a German spy. Jacobs claimed that Clara parachuted into the Midlands, where Hagley Wood is located in 1941, but was never heard from again.
That's 3 independent sources now, kind of filling in the gaps here about Clara.
I never in a million years thought that this would take a spy turn. What an episode!
This is starting to round out here and to be something much more than it seemed. Can you
I like seeing the full picture.
Isn't it also?
I didn't like doing that.
I don't like you
Sorry
rubbing the
about
picture
that.
like that. Why don't you unrub the picture?
Ooh.
Yep, there we go.
Also creepy.
Can you also remember that the first theory was maybe there was an air raid?
Oh, it stunk.
While this story does seem to have a lot of different and corroborating angles, Bella in the Wych Elm is likely not Clara Bauerle. Clara stood 5'10", a good 10 inches taller than the skeleton found in the tree. Even more damning, there is a log of Clara dying in a Berlin hospital in 1942.
What the fuck? Why would you do this?
I'm sorry.
What's the point?
Because,
what are we doing here?
Because it was
I was having so much fun.
I knew that was gonna knock the wind out of you, and you know what? Did you not have fun until that moment happened?
I did, but now it's all negated.
That's true, and we're not here to tell truths, we're here to spin sometimes
It's like I ate a delicious meat pie and it was all sitting in my stomach, then you punched me and I vomited it all up.
All right, just untie your little underwear, get them out of the knot.
Okay.
Okay. It's still possible. Clara could just be a uniform code name for all German spies. It did come from the declassified MI5 file. Who's to say that records from a Berlin hospital would actually be accurate if it was in fact a spy? Do I believe that? I don't know about that because it kind of ruined the anecdote we got from Jacobs.
You know what? I'll take it.
The rejection of the Clara Bauerle theory leaves one to consider other possibilities. Perhaps she was still a spy of a different name, or possibly a foreigner tangled up with the wrong crowd. Of course, maybe it was a witch. According to West Mercia police, Bella's remains have been lost over the years, meaning the case can't take advantage of modern DNA analysis and clouding the chances of future progress in the case. Perhaps, like the 4 boys who stumbled upon the mystery that spring day in 1943, someone will come across another clue, hidden away and waiting for a chance crossing of paths. Until then, the case of who put Bella in the Wych Elm will remain unsolved.
My big takeaway is let's look after our bones a little better. Oh, why are they throwing these things out left and right? If you find bones and you think like, well, maybe in 90 years, they'd like to make a funny YouTube video about this case.
It would be the right thing to do.
Hang on to them.
To hang on it.
Yeah.
Hang on to it for that purpose.
I'm all in on spies.
I will be all in on spy, if not just so that it makes this less sad, but also it actually is the most compelling theory. She was a spy. I'm gonna say it right.
We're going spy.
We're going spy.
Can we say we solved it?
You guys got spy out there? You got spy?
Can't.
I got spy.
We can't say that. We didn't solve it, but
Hello and welcome to another edition of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem, a show where we answer your most pressing questions about the most recent episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved, which was Bella in the Wych Elm. All the questions we're answering today came from you guys via our BuzzFeed Unsolved Facebook page, our BuzzFeed Unsolved Instagram page, as well as directly on the video
on
Bun.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about Bella in the Wych Elm. As you can all see, we are quarantined still. It's had no effect on any of our mental faculties. In fact, I feel better than ever.
I feel strong. Yes, yes, yes. We got a lot of good questions about the episode this week, and boy, are we excited to answer them.
But before we get into those, we got some art, Shane, as usual.
Oh, we got some art. Okay, so the first one we have is from Grazer Draws.
Christine, in parentheses, Christine.
And that's us at the Viper Room.
That's the symbol of friendship right there.
Yes.
That's when we proclaim to the world that we are friends.
If you watch the bloopies, you'll see that, in fact, the scene takes quite a turn after the cut. Yeah.
I forget. What happens?
I think I say we're not really friends, and that I'm only doing it for the cameras.
You son of a bitch. Unbelievable. You hurt me again.
I love it. The next one is from Michelangelo, or Mikkel Hagen. Now this one is full of stuff.
This is from the Goatman Bridge, but it also has the St. Augustine Lighthouse, Mothman,
It's got
Goatman.
the dolls.
Oh my God, this has so many fun little Easter eggs. Bigfoot having
this
a beer.
Is wonderful. He's giving me the deed to the bridge.
Mikkel, amazing work. This is fantastic.
That's fun. As always, just tag us in your art, and then we'll see it. So this week we're talking about Bella And the Wych Elm, when the Wych Elm, who put her there? That's the question.
That's the question. That's the conundrum. Well, let's go to Instagram first to see what they're thinking about. This comes from HTX_cool_aid_man.
What a big name.
Shane, if you could switch bodies with Ryan, would you do it?
No.
You wouldn't?
No. I wouldn't ever want to be shorter than I am.
That's fair. I mean, you would have a little more muscle on you, though.
But then I'd have to be shoveling muscle tech into my mouth every day, and I really don't want to do that.
It's not muscle tech, Shane. It's just protein powder that's healthy for you to recover after a healthy workout.
But it is called muscle tech, isn't it?
Well, I can't control what the name of it is.
And you've got cases and cases of it. You can't even walk around your apartment. Wouldn't it be great if they were a sponsor of this show?
All right.
BuzzFeed Unsolved True Crime, brought to you by Muscle Tech.
Welcome to the chilling murder of Bella and the Wych Elm, sponsored by Muscle Tech. Let's blend this case like we blend my shakes, baby. I will say, Shane, that I would trade bodies with you, but only for a week.
Yeah, you'd want to go back. I mean, a Freaky Friday thing would probably be fun. We could play pranks on people. Okay, here's from YouTube. Right. Here's from Alexander Burt for the hashtag postmortem. As a Brummie, I'd love to hear you guys try to do Birmingham accents. Birmingham? Birmingham? We were saying it wrong in the episode is the thing.
I mean, that scans for me. I say a lot of things wrong in the episode. I say a lot of stupid things in episodes because, spoiler alert, I'm a dumb man.
He says, also, I would definitely stuff a drunk friend into a tree. So you get a little local color there.
Are you familiar with the dialect he's referring to?
No, not at all. I could look it up on the internet.
Here's what we'll do. We'll do a little accent telephone, if you will. You'll say your version of the Birmingham accent, and then I will do my accent based on you. And we'll see how far away from it actually is from the actual accent.
What you doing? What you doing? What you doing?
What you doing? What you doing? What you doing?
Hey, what you doing?
Hey, what you doing? I'm just walking here. We're making an organic Ryan and Shane say what you doing for 10 hours YouTube video right now.
Yes. What you doing?
What you doing?
What you doing? We've got a lot of wonderful comments from a lot of Brummies, as I think they call themselves. So it's nice to hear from them.
That's fun. That's real fun. Well, let's move on. Let's move to Facebook. This is a question that is relevant to the case. This comes from Susan Epp, hashtag postmortem. What if she was a spy who parachuted by Hagley Wood, but her parachute didn't open? And then maybe another spy stuffed her into the tree so there would be less of a chance of the authorities finding and identifying her. Love you guys.
Wait, so she's a spy, but then a spy finds her? How many spies are there?
Well, in this case, there would be like a spy, like a tactical insertion of sorts, where two spies
like a spy
drop.
buddy, like a spy
buddy.
buddy.
I mean, like I imagine they send spies in pairs. At least that's what the movies would have you believe.
Oh,
anyways,
like Boris and Natasha.
Sure. I don't know who that. Wait, who's that?
From Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, I never was like a fan of that cartoon, and I heard the movie sucked. So.
You kind of got Rocky vibes to you.
Do I?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'll take it as
I don't know either, but we'll figure it out, I guess.
Is he the little squirrel? Who's the squirrel?
He's a little squirrel, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'd love to be a squirrel. I love squirrels so much. Anyways, this is my favorite theory from the episode. I do think that she was a spy. I will say, though, I don't know why another spy would stuff her into a tree.
Yeah, I mean, why would you do that?
Well, I mean, you would think that if you're a spy, you would have a little bit more absolute measures to get rid of body evidence.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, put them in a barrel and throw it in the sea or something.
Yeah, or melt them in this funny little tub with this special solution. It seems kind of haphazard for a spy to be like, ah, shit. If they find this body, I'm ruined. I'm given away. I guess I'll just shove her in a tree.
Because you got to imagine if that were the case, Spy goes back to Spy Boss, and Spy Boss is like, how's Clara doing? What happened with her? It's like, well, I found her body. Whoa, did you put it in a barrel and throw it in the sea or dissolve it in your special solution in a funny little tub? And they said, no, but I took care of her. Well, what'd you do? I shoved her in a tree. What?
It was a real narrow tree.
It was a real narrow tree, but it looked real spooky. Well, why would you do that? I don't know. I'm a bad spy. Maybe it's a bad spy. That could be the answer. I got one over on YouTube I think you'll like, Ryan. This is from Architect. Would love to see Princess Diana.
Like currently?
I think that's what they mean. They would love to meet Princess Diana. And I gotta say, she was the people's princess, and I would love to see her too. You could probably pick her brain about a lot of things, hear her, thoughts on things. Unfortunately, I don't know if you have kept up with the news, but she did pass quite a while ago.
So this person's definitely not asking for us to cover Princess Diana's death.
I don't think so. They just said would love to see Princess Diana.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, not in the current state, but back in the past, if I had like a time machine or something like that. This comes from Nick Stanton, #postmortem. Even though it was stated that she couldn't get in the tree without significant tearing, if there was an air raid siren, I feel like it's possible that in a heightened state of fear, she could have jammed herself in the tree to take cover, gotten stuck, and died. Due to the adrenaline from the fear, she may have not felt the pain as she climbed in. Just a theory, #Shaniac for life.
I never in my life would think, you know what? Gotta hide in a tree. You know what would help me here? Hiding in a tree.
You know what would help me from these very flammable bombs that are about to be dropped on me? Hiding in a big thing of wood. Yeah, I don't think that makes a lot of sense, nor do I think that even in a state of adrenaline could you ignore the significant amount of tearing that would occur to shove yourself in that tiny of a diameter of a trunk. That doesn't make any sense to me.
This is from Genequa. #postmortem. This is because of the tornado sirens thing. During tornado season, would they sound the tornado alarm every day at noon in Illinois, or is that just my town in Kansas? First Tuesday of the month. That's when they do it in Illinois. Every day at noon?
This is just part of your lives? Tornado sirens?
Yes. If you're not familiar with tornado sirens, Ryan, then frankly, you don't know fear. They're very scary. I think tornadoes are scarier than earthquakes.
I don't know if that's true.
You've seen Twister, right?
I have seen Twister, but you have seen the news, though, over the last decade, right?
I've seen some news.
I don't want to say these, like comparing these two like they're fighters of some sort, but I will say that the stats, when it comes to devastation in regards to earthquakes, and I also consider into those stats the aftershock and results from that earthquake, like a tsunami or something like that. So
I guess so. Yeah, certainly there's long-term detrimental effects to earthquake. It's more of a wider zone of destruction, but I guess in the moment, the sheer terror of a giant cyclone. I've got every now and then on a Friday night, I'll just queue up some tornado videos and just stare in awe.
Weird guy. Well, we're gonna continue into YouTube questions here. Kim, for the postmortem, what if she had been there for a really long time, like more than 18 months, and the tree just grew around her body?
That's a good question. Good theory.
I doubt this one is possible, and I think that's all I have to say about that.
Because the only fast-growing trees I know, my pa planted some aspens in the backyard at some point, and those grow incredibly fast, but they're very thin, certainly not capable of housing a lady.
And also just the horrifying image of a tree trunk slowly growing over a standing up corpse over time as the body is decaying and the trunk is just growing little by little. It would look horrifying.
Isn't there a big scary tree in the Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton, where doesn't Chris Walken jump out of a tree in that?
That's another film that I actually skipped because I heard it wasn't Tim's best work, which frankly, not a lot of good work being put out by Tim as of late.
Here's from Ty the Guy Don't Know, also on YouTube. For the postmortem, Shane, do you only collect butterflies or is there other things you like to collect? Also, love you boys' style this episode. Ryan, the bandana is very stylish. I don't actually collect butterflies. My girlfriend, I've expressed interest in collecting butterflies, and my girlfriend bought me this beautiful blue butterfly that I have in a glass case. I would like to, at some point, get more of them. Ryan, do you have any collections? I know you have your sneaks.
I collect sneakers. I used to, when I was a kid, collect rare gems and minerals.
I had a lot of gems. I was a big gem head.
I used to collect rubber duckies when I was a kid too.
Well, now that's fun.
I think let's move into our last segment here, which is Toast Mortem, a substitution for the evil twin of Roast Mortem.
That's right. Now, Toast Mortem is a time when we toast one of something in a happy way, because who needs the negativity right now, really? Like, there's a lot going on in this world, and why not toast things? So I've got my non-branded water flask here, and I'm gonna toast with that. Water.
I'm out of water in this, but you know, I'll pretend like I had some. I didn't even really pretend, that was half-assed. But either way, let's move into Toast Mortem. Here we go.
This from Izzy B on YouTube. Izzy B sounds like a busy bee to me. Toast Mortem. Toast to the guy doing the graffiti. He sounds like a laugh. He really does. A toast to that guy.
What a fun little prankster. Just, I guess not that fun. He was writing misleading clues about a missing woman.
Yeah, but he probably told his friends at the pub, like, oh, you won't believe what I did this week and what I will continue to do. Now these other ones don't actually seem like roast mortems, or toast mortems so much as roast mortems.
Here's the thing, they made me laugh though. This comes from DGlisten1, hashtag Toast Mortem. I love how he still hashtagged it Toast Mortem. Did Ryan play a few rounds of Russian roulette? Looks like Chris Walken in The Deer Hunter. It's a good cinema reference, and I really do look like Chris Walken in The Deer Hunter.
You do quite a bit look like, I mean...
Bella in the Wych Elm.
A Walken-centric episode here. This is the second time we brought him up. One last one from Jerry Korn. How is Ryan a full-blown adult that thinks hair grows out of the skull?
This one also cracked me up.
Hashtag postmortem, hashtag it does not, Ryan, hashtag I know that and I failed anatomy.
Here's the thing. When I said that in the episode, I don't recall actually how I said it in the episode, but what I was thinking was not that it grows like out of my brain in through my skull out of my head. I thought for whatever reason that it just would get implanted in the skull purely out through the epidermal layer. There, like it would just become stuck there. Not that I guess.
Yes, you saying it grows out of the skull must have been a joke, right?
Yeah, it was not. Also, a reminder, like I said, I'm a dumb man. So I don't know why any of you people listen to me.
We're both very stupid.
Yeah, I don't care. But it did give me a good little giggle.
Well, Ryan, what would you say is coming up this week on BuzzFeed Unsolved True Crime Season 6?
Let's see here. When it comes to all these cases, it really is hard for me to shepherd them home in the home stretch of my research.
Yes.
And I'll say that this next episode was no exception.
And if you have a hard time figuring out what Ryan is hinting at, then I gotta be honest with you, I don't care.
That does it for this episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem. Make sure you watch the episode this Friday and leave your questions on the BuzzFeed Unsolved Instagram account, the BuzzFeed Unsolved Facebook page, or comment directly on the video on Bun. And
we'll see you
in the next episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved Postmortem.
That's right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Hair grows out of your brain.
It's not true. Not true. Bye-bye.